basically everything below it's going to stop working. All right, guys, so something I see a lot of times is on the range is people loading their guns and they're kind of doing it down here, not really caring. What I want to talk about is every time you load your weapon, whether it's at the range, it's, you know, at your house, at, you know, ready for your shift, whatever the case may be, I want to make sure that everything is ready to go. So what I'm going to talk about is a pre-shoot ritual. So how I do a pre-shoot ritual is once I get all my stuff on, I'm going to draw, make sure my dot's good. If I have a light, make sure my light's working, block the slide to the rear, conduct an emergency reload, make sure everything's good, press check. Okay, now I know this gun is ready to go. My optic's working, my light's working, my gun's loaded. Holster that up, find that magazine, replenish that magazine. Now I know for certain that this gun is hot, the magazine is loaded, there's a round in the chamber, my dot is where I want it, and now I have a full magazine on my belt, and now I'm ready to go. Okay, so every time you put a gun on, whether it's, you know, everyday carry type stuff or for work or at the range, you want to do this because you're losing repetitions of training by doing it down here, doing an ab and reload, right? Trying to get that good draw stroke, good side by side picture, a good emergency reload practice, holster, reset everything up, now you're good to go, right? You gained a bunch of free iterations of training for no rounds, okay? And if you're doing it for everyday carry or for work purposes, that may very well be the last time that you have drawn that gun prior to an altercation. So you want to make sure that you have done it at least once really good. You know your dot's working, you know your light's working, you know everything's good to go. That way, as you draw, you're not like, oh shit, I hope my fucking dot's on, right? You should have that already dialed in, ready to go the second you walk out the door. Cool. All right, so when you're at the range and you're running through these drills for fundamentals, as boring as it is the most important thing, right? So again, if I come to the range and I'm trying to work on fundamentals, first off, try to dial in a fundamental that you're deficient at and really harp on that for a training day. Just like when you go to the gym, if you're really weak in one spot, that's what you want to train more than the stuff that you're strong at, because you're never going to grow as a shooter or at anything, any sport, any technique, if all you do is what you're good at and never the stuff that you're deficient at, right? So find those deficiencies in yourself, whether it's you know it because you know it for yourself, or you've gone to a class and they've said, you know, you need to work on A, B, C, D, E. Work on those things that you're deficient at. So I'm coming to the range and I know that I'm working today on the fundamentals. That's it. All I need to focus on is those fundamentals. So when I get in that stance, I say stance, make sure my stance is absolutely perfect. If that means I get into it, I'm like, it's not quite right, and I reset, then that's what it needs to be. So getting that good stance, right? Everything's good. I feel good about this. I got weight on my front leg. My shoulders, head, and hips are stacked in alignment. Okay, now grip. When I say grip, I need to think about watch band and belly button, dive in, defeat retention, pressure, marry, press and prep. Okay, so from here, grip, defeat retention, watch band and belly button, marry, press, prep. Okay, now I'm starting to think about silent side picture. I got silent, I got side picture, now I think about trigger. Okay, got trigger. Okay, so all I'm doing is working on those fundamentals up until that point, right? So once I get trigger, bang, reset, make sure I get trigger reset, make sure I'm working that trigger properly. If I realize I come to the range and my trigger reset's really, really bad, then I need to go back to that trigger reset drill we talked about earlier. Dial in that trigger reset. Once I'm getting more comfortable with that, then I can come back and start working on the rest of the fundamentals, okay? So when I go to the range, how it works is I'll fire one round at a time. So one round from draw stroke, one round, follow through, reholster, okay? And then I'll work up to 2 rounds, and then I'll work up to 3 rounds. And what I'm focusing on is not only just the fundamentals, but the accuracy and what I'm actually doing, right? If I notice that I'm trending one direction or the other, then I need to slow down, stay at whatever if I'm at 1 or 2 rounds, stay at that round count until I dial it in and get that group tight, okay? So I come to the range, my warm-up is ready to go, got a good stance, everything's good, draw, 1 round. Good follow through, look at the holster up. Draw, 1 round. Good follow through, holster up, okay? Then I'll jump into 2 rounds. then I'll jump into 3 rounds, okay? So again, what I'm looking for is not only what the target is telling me, but how I feel, right? I may be getting good hits, but I realize that my draw stroke is a little sloppy, so I need to work on that. So as we go through all these things, it's paramount that you are able to identify your own deficiencies. If you're not able to do that, then come to a class, have one of our instructors look at you to be able to tell you, like, hey, you're doing XYZ wrong, because a lot of times it's very difficult to address what you're doing when you're doing it versus when I'm looking at it or when another instructor's looking at it, okay? We've done this long enough to where we can be across the range and be like, oh, he's got to work on that, and he'll spot it out and he'll come tell you, right? So our job as instructors is kind of counterintuitive to business, but I want to be able to teach you to be able to self-diagnose yourself and not need to come to me for every little thing you have a problem with, right? I want you to be able to go to the range and understand the fundamentals to the point where you can be like, oh, you know, my trigger reset's a little off, I'm gonna work on that. You work on that for a little while and then you're good to go. Then you can move on, okay? So when you come to the range, really be very deliberate about everything you're doing, okay? Don't just come out here and make loud, expensive noise and throw lead into the dirt. Have a plan, whether you write it down or it's in your head, have a plan of what you're going to there to do and what you're gonna do to work on that, right? Don't just be like, I want to shoot faster, right? But I don't know why or how I'm going to shoot faster. I'm just going to, that's what I want to do, right? Show up to the range, have a plan, have a deficiency you want to work on, and go there with drills specific to those things, okay? And we'll talk about a lot of drills throughout this Patreon about what to do for specific issues. But what it comes down to is you need to be able to identify those deficiencies to be able to pick a drill to fix that. So coming to a class, having one of us, like, I'm really good at telling you everything you're fucked up on, but it's very important, right? If you come to a class and everybody's like, good job, and you leave and you be like, I didn't learn anything, right? Like, you need that person to look at you and be like, hey, you fucked all these things up. You did these things good, so maybe don't harp on these too much, but all this shit, work on this, right? Then you can go work on that on your own, and then you come back and now all those are good, and now there's another set of things you need to work on, right? So it's always that growing of like, you know, I'm good here with speed, I'm good here with accuracy. I work on speed for a while and my speed's here, but my accuracy is lacking. So then I need to work on some drills to get me accurate, to bring my accuracy to meet my speed. And it's just this constant like left and right of what's going with speed and accuracy, and they got to grow together. Because all you do again is shoot really fast, but you don't hit shit. That's not going to do anything for you. But if all you do is shoot really accurate, but it takes you 30 seconds per round, then that's not really going to be ideal either. So you got to find that balance of speed and accuracy at all times. And there's plenty of drills that can help with that. You just have to be able to identify what those deficiencies are for yourself.